Mirage Islam has advised financial services. He's worked with some of the biggest brands in the world to build their digital strategy for the future. And he's going to talk to us today about thriving with purpose. Mirage.
We are in a trust deficit. We're in a point, or at a point, where we've lost trust. We, the people, have lost trust in the organizations that are there to support us, the infrastructure, the politicians, the journalists, the media organizations. This is what the research says. And increasingly, we, the people, are looking for the CEOs, the leaders of our organizations, to take a stand on issues such as racism, equality, inclusion, sustainability. So as we start to look at those leaders to give us that information, how do we make sense of that world? We've also got to consider artificial intelligence, AI, generative AI. When the world around us seems so chaotic and we have no control, surely we need to be thinking about the ethics in AI. The fact that technology now can manipulate, coerce, convince an entire people to think about things that they probably normally wouldn't have. So this trust is something that is eroding, and it's something that we have to ensure that we do something in order to take back some kind of control. So let me share with you a quote from a 13th century poet and Islamic scholar. "Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray." That's by Rumi. When we talk about purpose, how can we be part of something that is bigger than us, bigger than the things around us? How can we be part of something that is so broad, but however, we can make a positive contribution? We can make a contribution that is purposeful, and also the fact that we can actually do something that the research shows can make us happy. And in later life, it can stave off Alzheimer's, it can reduce the chances of us having strokes, but ultimately, it can make us happy. So what can we do in the short term? Well, first of all, one of the things that we can do is harness our superpower. We have to look within ourselves because there is something that each and every one of us has that can have an impact on another person or a group of people. There's something that we can do that can have a positive impact. We just have to believe that that is possible, but also give ourselves permission to be that person, to be able to tap in to that superpower. And if it doesn't work first time round, then that's not a failure. That's a learning. That's something we can take into the next approach, the next attempt to make positive change happen. I believe that we can all be happy in our careers if we align our career and our aspirations with something that we care about. Because the research shows that we can be happy and be fulfilled as a result of it. Let me tell you about a chap called Manu Chopra, a Stanford graduate who himself was born into poverty. Now this chap, this young man, he could work for any of the big tech companies. But because he grew up in poverty, he had one sole mission. And that mission was to eradicate man-made poverty in India, in rural communities. And so he's devised technology, AI technology, to help those communities to create and work with generative AI solutions to ensure that their language isn't forgotten. Because like most solutions and tech solutions, sometimes they're designed in a particular way, and they're not always inclusive. So any technology that's being created that doesn't consider the entirety of the people it's there intended to serve can in fact forget them, eradicate them. So what he does is pay them a living wage. He pays them $5 per day. That's 20 times the going rate, the living wage in India. What he also does is that he makes sure that the rights are given to those individuals. So if their content is used again, they benefit from the royalties. So not only do they get paid, they also benefit in the long term. In a country where it would take 7 generations in rural India to save $1,500, or as he says in another way, 200 years for any one individual, this is a game changer. This is something that this person is doing to make a change, to eradicate poverty. So how do we then think about, well, what's our purpose? Well, our purpose doesn't have to be as big or something that takes years to develop. It's something that we can actually work on to make sure that we are having that benefit. So it could be something as simple as smiling to a stranger as you walk past. Maybe it's something around just being an ally to a colleague or a group of friends or colleagues that you know need that support, who aren't getting the exposure that they deserve. Maybe you're the person that elevates them. Maybe we're the people that actually, for a moment, just pause from this very complex lives of ours to stop and talk to the person, the homeless person on the street, and ask them and converse with them, instead of being buried in our mobile phones. To have a purpose, we can be kind. We can do amazing things, incredible things, but we have to believe that we can. And so what if we could be that person that actually has that impact? We have become a product of the environment. Society would have you believe that it's our career that defines us. It's our car, it's our position, it's our salary, it's our home. But however, post-pandemic, things have changed. We have changed. We are not the same. And companies and organizations realize this. We've got companies now that realize that if they have they clearly articulate their purpose, then people will likely want to work for them. In fact, they also know from research, 88% will say that actually if we have a clearly articulated purpose, customers will be loyal to us. The research also shows 72% will also then purchase from that company and also tell other people about them. So if companies have realized that actually there is a valid reason to have a purpose, what is it that we could do? What could we do that can make that change? Because a third of UK workers are considering leaving their place of work. Research is showing that lots of people are considering changing their jobs, resigning. So companies need to do something about it. But we then can take control and then say, well, actually, what is our purpose? How do we then identify what that is? Some will say, well, actually, it's that North Star. Think about where it is you want to be and have that purpose and that aim to get there. It can be an act of kindness. It could be setting something up. It could be helping others. But purpose allows, and knowing where we want to go, allows us to develop a path and create that journey for ourselves. Not wait for someone else to push us, not somebody else to make it happen for us, but we take charge of making that happen. It means that we have to transcend the mundaneness of our lives. You know, the day-to-day jobs, going in, turning up, doing what we do, and just leave. Thinking about our careers and ultimately thriving because of the fact that we are choosing to do something where we've helped someone, and that makes us feel good. Or that we are planning something to encourage others. It's a journey that many of us have taken, but we just don't realize that we're on that path. Finding your purpose isn't easy. It requires introspection. It requires us to really analyze and understand ourselves. So we have to think about, well, actually, let's try something. I've been on this journey for many years, and I've finally realized that I'm just a traveler here, you know, on my journey, but I need to do some things about it. So what do? I say to myself, I need to be kind, and I need to do good. But I'm still work in progress. I'm not perfect. And so what I'd like you to do is think about these 3 questions. Ask yourself, what brings me joy? What makes me happy? Think back to those days before everything got too hectic and heavy. What am I passionate about? And what difference do I want to make in this world? What's the legacy I want to leave behind? What do I want people to think and do? When I started, it was about making money. It was just about, you know, making sure that I earned as much as I possibly could, but I could see that I was not fulfilled. And there were things that I wanted to achieve. So where are you on that pyramid? Where are you thinking about what could you do? Because finding my purpose comes back to my parents. For my parents, my mother and father, it wasn't about their careers. It was about what they could do and sacrifice to make sure that we got an education and get those jobs and then be happy. But actually, what is happiness? My father was an educationalist. He believed in knowledge. He just insisted that all of his children, all 5 of them, would go through uni. My mother, she made me read an entire encyclopedia set while my friends were playing football. At the time, I was really unhappy, but now I look back and I'm grateful. So there's a pathway, and you know, I was interested in sports. That wasn't in their playbook for me. However, this is something that I've learned to use and develop as part of my career. I've ended up in academia, regardless of the fact that I fought every aspect of that. My father, he came from an established family, very privileged, until 1947 and partition came. And then he was told, you leave today or you die. He chose life and left. He then went back to his family part, which then from India became East Pakistan, and then moved to the UK in the 50s. From the 50s, he was here, but then would keep in touch with his homeland. And in 71, for the War of Independence that became Bangladesh, he then had to go back and then take his family out of there. And that's where my journey begins, in 1971. So one of the things that has brought me to this place and to find purpose is that my education wasn't what I anticipated. I was at school. You're wasting everyone's time. You're not going to achieve anything. You're in the strongest position in the class. You're at the bottom, holding everyone else up. My experience at school wasn't positive. However, there were 2 people that I came across, 2 teachers that inspired me. The 92-year-old Mrs. Davis, who's going to be 93 in a couple of weeks, who I'm still in touch with. She was my very first teacher. And then in secondary school, Mr. Turney, who is sadly no longer with us, was my rugby coach. These 2 taught me values. They understood me. They made sure they nurtured me. And those things that I learned then, and I'm still in touch with Mrs. Davies, was something that allowed me to then grow and use in my teaching. Because we live in a world where between work and life, it's all intermeshed. It's all a part of our everyday existence. But how many of us have that feeling of, where are we going? What are we doing? I don't feel fulfilled. I've been there. I've been on that ladder. And so when I get into the classroom, for me, it's about how I inspire a future generation, because that's what energizes me. So I started to work with young people. So with young people, over 20 years ago, I launched a digital skills campaign. I'm no longer involved with that, but now there's 11,000 young pupils who've gone through that process with key skills. That energized me back then, and now working with students and helping them get involved in live projects and working with charities and organizations from which they then tell me that they are energized. And that inspires me every day to work with them. So I believe we can align our career and our purpose in a way to add value to our lives, to think about how we can then do good, be good, and have that purpose. So remind yourself of what brings you joy. Remind yourself and ask yourself, what am I passionate about? And what difference could I make in the world? One step at a time, that's what my father used to say. And with these answers, you challenge yourself. Small incremental steps. They don't need to be big gestures or big moves. One small step will get you there in the end. And no journey is without obstacles. Surround yourself with people who are positively encouraging, who want to get involved. Be with people that will take you to where you want to go, because they share those similar values. They will encourage you, they will drive you, they will inspire you. And they don't all have to agree with you. And that's the beauty of us. We are different. We all bring a different view of the world to the table. So in closing, it's about self-discovery, growth, fulfillment. Embrace the challenge. Be fearful, but use that energy and channel it in a way that actually works. And I want to leave you with this quote from Dr. Ghassan Abu Sitar, who is a surgeon and a humanitarian. And he left the comfort of his Harley Street practice and said, you make a decision every day about the kind of human being you want to be. The wealth that these experiences might give you, the sense of fulfillment that making a difference in people's lives gives you, is actually beyond anything else that any other lifestyle can ever offer you. I'm still on my journey. I'm not perfect. I'm work in progress. But I look forward to seeing you on yours and thriving with purpose. Thank you very much.